Hey everyone, it's Hydro Pump here. In today's video, I got a special guest, new Rod member Frazier Smith here.
Hello, I am here with my good boy Hydro Pump, and we are going to be talking about Shining Darkness in Edison, right? That's the name of the pack, isn't it?
Yes, the Shining Darkness is the pack that came out, the set that came right after Edison format. It was legal for the Nationals uh, format or that time period. But today's video, we're going to be looking at not like we already know what the set is like when it came out. It was pure chaos, if you ask me. But
Yeah, I
uh,
lived it.
yeah, I was playing at this time and it was kind of crazy. But we're gonna look at how the individual cards from this set would impact Edison format. So we're just gonna like look over. We picked out the better cards from the set, and there's some not as good ones as well. But we're just gonna look at the better ones, and there's gonna be like a few exceptions, like for instance, like Herald Perfection needs the ritual spell, of course, and
Right,
Gen
those two
X,
have to be together.
yeah, Gen X Undyne needs Gen X controller, but controller's like a normal monster. So
Yeah,
okay, so you just want to get started from the top of the list, and
yeah.
we'll just work our way
Let's
down?
take it from the top. We have
Okay.
52 cards to get through, and you know what? I'm a busy man, so let's just get right to it. X Saber Palumaru. So I'll say this: I grew up with Sean McCabe, who is known to be one of the best X Saber players of all time. He has gotten second place at a YCS in Philadelphia, I believe. He's gotten third at another one in Orlando in 2011. Um, Maybe second again, I forget. But McCabe is an X Saber guy. He's topped and won several prize cards. Got top four at YCS as many times with X Sabers. So I am very familiar with this deck when the Shining Darkness comes out. What I am not familiar with though is this guy right here. This was never played in any of his decks. I don't think Billy Brake played it at all either. The other three guys are absolutely insane, and all three of them you play multiples of. But Palumaru, I don't recall this ever being in the deck. Its effect is when another Saber monster you control is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can pay 500 life points, especially summon this guy from the grave. So the problem that I already see with this is that he has to be in your graveyard to get his effect off, which is like kind of ass because how did he get to the graveyard to begin with? He is a tuner, but then he only activates when your monsters are destroyed by battle specifically. And when this pack comes out, the game shifts from Crooters being decent in Edison to just being unplayable if they're not
Yeah.
winning the game on the spot. Like it goes to like, oh, like you can set a pyramid turtle, set a tomato to the Shining Darkness comes out, and if it's not literally Ember's Blade going into Dark Soul to set up for next turn like a crazy X Saber turn, it's not worth it. And that's how I feel about this guy. I don't know when you would ever really want this to be your one-star tuner. It doesn't really make anything in the X Saber deck that is crazy. Pasha, on the other hand, Full Helm Knight, they have plenty of tuners that are just really good. And this guy's also a reptile. He's not a warrior, so that kind of sucks too because you can at least reinforce truth partial, which was one of the main plays the deck used to have. On the end phase, you like activate reinforce truth, summon partial, draw for turn, normal summon, dark soul, special summon fall troll, and get the party popping. But this again, this guy is just he's a reptile. I think he's worse than Rajigara. At least Rajigara has like the whole if you draw him with double fall troll, you can do a loop your opponent's entire hand away thing. Like a one
Yeah.
for one combo. But yeah, this guy doesn't seem that
I
good to
think
me.
don't he has like small potential. Like I could see you playing maybe like one or something, just because the deck really doesn't have a way to get two monsters on the field consistently for Fall Troll right now in Edison
Yeah.
format. So like he could just be like a cheese way to like get a guy out in the field. Like he can just be chilling in your grave. You can crash like an Ember's Blade, and then all of a sudden you have two monsters for Fall Troll. So
Yeah.
I see
I,
like
I
small
really
potential.
I really still hate that though. Like I have to be honest. I think that is awful because
Yeah.
you're talking about main phase two now. I do not so let me clarify something about this video. And this is me asking you, Hydro, because I want to be sure going forward, because you just made me realize. So we're talking about these cards in terms of if this one card was in Edison format, right? Like
Yeah.
if we just put this one card in, not the whole X Saber package, just bring in Palumaru and nothing else.
Yep.
Uh, I feel like he is not the card that would actually help the X Saber deck. Like I get it, he helps with the whole get two X Sabers out, but like reading this effect over and over again, it just still seems so ass that it has to be destroyed by battle specifically. Like I can't get over that part. I can't get over that. Like you need your opponent to do something, aka put a monster on the field and attack, or you crash into it, and then you're doing like main phase 2 shenanigans. I can't get over that part. Like that bothers me so much, and I just have to. I think that if I'm being genuine in this video, this card is just not it. But I'd
Maybe
like to.
maybe I'm a
Go
little
ahead.
biased because I actually made a crazy Xaver deck with
I remember that.
Axel.
I like that though.
So
You drew a bunch of cards with that, right?
yeah, you can draw a lot of cards with this guy. So like I see like the crappy potential in him. Like he's definitely
Yeah.
not great, but I can see some world where you can maybe work around with him. But the other X Saber
Okay.
monsters, if you want to jump to those guys, they're
Yeah.
definitely way better than Paramount, whatever you say.
So Partial, I love this guy. Um, First of all, it has a Spirit Reaper like effect. It can't be destroyed by battle. So it's like a Spirit Reaper is like a marshmallow, and this helps with the problem of X Sabers establishing 2 monsters. So this gives you only a card that you can reinforce truth. And I forget, is reinforce truth in Edison format?
Yes, it is. It has like no good targets really. So like this set
Well,
has
here
like
you
a
go.
lot of reinforced truth targets that are just like insane, and
Yep.
Pashul is just one of them. So
Yeah, so right off the bat, and then this is all me going off of my memory of actually playing back then in 2010. But I remember In Phase Reinforced Truth was terrifying because they summon this guy, and then they summon like an Ember's Blade or a Dark Soul, ideally Dark Soul, and then Fall Trolls start to come out, and it just becomes a whole thing where you're just getting absolutely ruined by a slew of synchro monsters in one turn. It is a tuner, it's 2 stars, it's a warrior, so you can play reinforcement army on top of that. So you have like full helm knight when you need it, you have this guy when you need it. I think this card would actually be relevant in Edison format just to like give the deck a little bit of a boost. It wouldn't be the craziest card that they can get. We'll talk about that in a second. But this would definitely help because it is a monster that sticks to the field.
yeah,
And
I
yeah, I think that's just good in
I think
itself.
if Pashul was in the, like you have 3 reinforced truth and up. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could play 2 to 3 Pashuls, but like
Right,
you
right.
can you can build around Pashul and like they can MST or Heavy Storm. You can just chain reinforced truth. You have a Spirit Reaper for the turn, and
Yep.
then
I think that would be fantastic, honestly.
yeah, I think if this guy was legal, X Sabers would be like just like top tier, like one of the top decks. But
Yeah, I could totally see them being way more problematic
and he's level
if
2,
you know
so
he
you
exists.
get
Yeah,
level 4, get Hanlei. This is crazy.
yeah. Honestly, yes, all of that.
Yeah,
So he's blatantly just good for the deck. He's exactly what the deck would need because Reinforced Truth simply exists in Edison already. The next one is the card that would just, I mean, it just changes the entire
hello,
dynamic
Rescue
of the
Cat.
deck. This guy's insane. Yeah, the fact that Rescue Cat is in the format and you can get 2 of these, and then he gets his effect on the end phase, even though is he once per turn or no?
So they errated it. So in or like when it came out until like 2011, you can use multiple per turn. So you can synchro it off and then bring it back and then synchro again or do whatever, and you get this effect each time it's sent to the grave, which was
Oh
just
my god.
crazy.
Yeah, so this I remember this guy's just ridiculous, right? Like he's absolutely insane. I mean, you search any X-Saber monster, so you search your Fall Troll when you know you can do it. So when you see your hand has, in 2010, in the format that this was out, you search Bogger Knight if you already have Fall Troll. If you know you already have Bogger Knight, you will search out Full Helm Knight or search out Partial. But he completed your hand, and also the fact that Ember's Blade goes into this guy made it really awkward for your opponent to ever attack. So you set up a crazy wall. But then the other crazy thing about this thing is that it makes emergency call a god card. Like emergency call becomes an absolute god card. You can crash. I remember so many so I topped with X Sabers because I was like on some anything you can do, I can do better thing. And I took the deck that McCabe would play and top with all the time, and I took it to YCS Providence 2011. And I actually top 16 with the deck. And I remember a lot of my rounds were so easy because you just like summon Ember's Blade, crash into their guy a couple times, like crashed literally all 3 Ember's Blades in, end on Dark Soul, and then you get like activate Gotham's Mercy Call, and then bring back 2 Ember's Blades, and then crash those, and then get like full Helm Knight and another guy, and then
Yeah, it's
main
just like
phase 2
way too
summon
much
pop.
advantage.
Yes, and then you're like summon Fall Troll, and then you synchro, summon Gothams, and then bring stuff back and start tributing cards to take out their hand, and it's just and then on the end phase you search twice because you have like double Dark Soul activations, so you're not even losing cards, but your opponent is, so they lose 2 cards out of their hand, but then you gain 2 cards on the end phase. It was very very unfair, and because you took their hand away, any hand loop deck is the most like solid win condition in Yu-Gi-Oh's history, in my opinion. It's just like I know people like their Omni Negate stuff like that, but something about taking your opponent's entire hand away when you have a field or just have a lot of cards is so it's so win-win that you just win the game. You know you won. There's no like, oh, he can't top deck anything. There's no top decking out of it. There's no combination like, oh, if he just has Dark Ruler no more in this. It's like, no, he has no cards. So he's top decking. There's nothing you can draw in this situation that will get you out of it. And that's how it felt when you won because of Dark Soul and the card advantage it created. This card would be insane in Edison. It would be absolutely insane.
Uh, uh, yeah, Dark Soul. The thing with Edison, like Cold Wave and Cat are legal, and this card would just make that combination of cards, even just by themselves, just like too crazy because you go Cat into Hunley, you can go Airbellum, Dark Soul, get Hunley, then you can like Ball Troll, bring it back like you said. It's just it makes Rescue Cat way too good.
Yes, the Rescue Cat was Rescue Cat banned when this came out.
No, it got banned after Nationals the following like fall.
Okay, so it was still a god card for it. So it had one format.
Wait, I think Cold Wave was
mean, it's
for
ridiculous.
a while. I don't know. But
yeah, I forget when Cold Wave died.
It
but,
got banned.
Yeah, Dark Soul's wild. Okay, the next guy is actually just as relevant as Dark Soul, if I'm being honest, because the problem with the deck in Edison format is that getting 2 monsters on the field to summon Fall Troll is a hard ask. And a lot of times the way you do it is with Rescue Cat. So many of the decks in the format have ways to keep you off of 2 monsters. Between every deck playing Caius, actual Monarch decks playing stuff like Soul Exchange, Caius, Ryza, and then Blackwing's playing Icarus Attack. And then every other deck is playing Rykos. So it's very hard to actually get 2 monsters on the field to summon Fall Troll. And Bogger Knight allows the deck to burst out a Fall Troll at will. So in the old days, I think McKay played at least 2 of this guy, maybe 3. But I know for a fact this guy was played at least 2 copies. And he's just really, really good. He's a Beast Warrior. 1900 attack is also wild. This made it where decks like Glad Beast and stuff like that, you just can't deal with a deck having a regular 1900 monster that has a crazy ass effect like this to summon another guy. There's no drawback to it. The card is just absolutely insane when you look at it in terms of 2010. Like 1900 attack, so it crashes with Alias if it came down to the really, really good stats. Earth,
yeah,
like everything about
him
is
worst,
insane.
it's just an Alias. So
yeah, like at worst. And honestly, in this deck, that's just never the case because this deck plays so many monsters. They play like 3 Ember's Blade, 3 Dark Soul, 3 Full Helm Knight, some number of Airbellums, usually 2 or 3. And then you have your partials, usually like 2 of those at least. Triple Fall Troll because you can guarantee it. Double or triple Boggart Knight. So you just have a lot of monsters in your deck. And this guy makes it where, oh, I drew a bunch of monsters. That's fine. I can actually summon all of them in one turn. My hand is Boggart Knight, Partial, Fall Troll. I can actually get 3 monsters out of my hand at once. And that just makes the whole like, oh, I'm stuck with a handful of normal summons not a thing anymore. So Boggart Knight is insane. He would actually make the deck completely viable, in my opinion, in Edison format if he was the one card that came into the format.
Yeah, like him or Partial would just make it so you can drop Fall Troll like consistently, and then like Dark Soul is like out of hand.
Yeah, Dark Soul Rescue Cat, yeah, it's just too much. This card's ass. If I'm looking at Saber Vault,
now
this doesn't do anything.
It's pretty bad, but I could see like small potential because it makes your Ember's Blades and Full Helms like a little bigger. But yeah, it's pretty bad overall. I think it's a secret, which is hilarious.
I think it was, and I'm pretty sure I pulled it. It's not. It's just not. It's not good. It's not worth talking about. Let's move on.
Okay. Now we're on to the Inferno cards. I kind of organized them like Xaver's Infernities because these are like the bigger decks at the time.
Yes.
So
I remember this guy.
I'm a big Inferno guy, like through and through. So I know a lot about these cards, but yeah, we could talk about them. The only Inferno cards that were pretty much outward at the time that were playable were Inferno Archfiend and Inferno Necromancer, and then those were like the only 2.
Yeah,
weirdly
Barrier
enough.
Wasn't out. Strike wasn't out, I guess, either.
Yeah, pretty much the whole deck came out in this set. So if any one of these,
break.
Yeah, pretty much everything. But Inferno Destroyer, I don't think he was ever played really, and he was also a secret, which is funny.
Was he? Yeah, he was. You're right. I know that he was only used for his level, not his effect, because he was level 6. So you could go into level 8 or whatever by playing him, but it's probably not worth. Like the juice isn't worth the squeeze in that point. He's a brick. His effect is just terrible. There's so many better cards to play. He was just not. He was not very good.
The only thing about him is I see like how like the Welodad deck people have combined it with like Inferno playing Necromancer and Archene, which is
Yeah,
kind of small, but I think Destroyer will make that a little bit better just because you can go Greffer, Ditch, Destroyer, send Krebins. And if you have a Necromancer, then you can just bring back Krebins, make it a little 8 with Destroyer, since you have Necromancer Reborn it.
yeah,
Just like a level 6 guy you can keep on reborning for free, I can see potential in, but and you can synchro with it like you said, but that's about the extent of his potential. Just like most of these guys are just gonna be like guys you can just reborn with Necromancer consistently. But yeah, that's pretty much about it for Destroy. I guess he's a deck dev target as well if you really wanted to do that, but
true,
um,
true, but yeah, still not worth the squeeze.
yeah. Now this guy
Uh,
I think would make the deck an actual deck, like viable deck in Edison format potentially, and for any randomizer.
really?
Yeah, I have a pretty much just like you play it like a grind deck most likely, where you just play again. It's a warrior for reinforced truth, which is kind of crazy, and he just lets you
Right,
keep
that's
on
true.
drawing. So you just play a bunch of like cards that like 1 for 1 your opponent, and then you can just get a +1 every turn, and then you have
I see what you're saying.
Necromancer to like reborn them and stuff. So
Yeah, use him like an engine. I could kind of see that. Because we're talking about Edison, just to reiterate.
yeah,
Yeah, I guess that's like decent, something that you could do. I'm not too enthused about that if I'm being honest. I feel like the scary part of this deck comes in with the barrier and the break.
yeah,
But like they definitely need the monsters too. Infernity is a deck where I don't think one card necessarily will fix Infernity in Edison, if I'm being completely honest. I feel like I'm looking at how many cards come out in the Shining Darkness for it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 cards that come out for this deck. I feel like this is unlike X Sabers where they can get like just Poshul or just Bogger Knight or just um Dark Soul, and they will actually be a more competitively viable deck. I don't know if Infernity
yeah. It's
with
definitely
any of
a
these
couple
cards.
pieces
Yeah,
off, but I
yeah,
think like
but I get what you're saying. Like, in randomizer, I could see the strategy with the reinforced truth and like you playing a heavy trap deck or something that can set a lot of back row, and then you're like reinforced truth, and then you draw, put the card on the field that you drew, and then activate his effect and draw another card. And that's just a +1, which is just broken.
yeah. Anything that's getting free pluses in Edison format is probably just gonna be a little too much.
Yeah,
And then Beetle, he could just pump out like he can get. I mean, I guess if you get like, I guess he's a little bit harder because he wouldn't have a launcher technically, but he's just a kind of like there's a quick way you can cheese out 2 level 2 tuners, kind of like Diva, but you can probably reborn him a little easier. But that's pretty much what he does. I guess you can make. I mean, Trishula isn't out yet, but um, and then Inferno Avenger is probably a little bit better one, just because he's free reborns himself if one of your
so let
guys
me read
dies.
him actually, because
Yeah,
he's the one that I don't remember. So when a monster you control, except Infinity Avenger, is destroyed by battle with an opponent's monster and sent to the graveyard, while you have no cards in your hand, so this is so many things. You can special summon this card from your graveyard. In that case, the level of this card is equal to the level of destroy monster. So to simplify it, if any of your monsters get destroyed while you have no hand, you can bring this guy back from the grave, and he copies the level of the monster that was destroyed. So that's basically what he does. I remember this card actually being played. I like his effect, and that's I don't think that this is going to be the end all be all to fix the deck, but I could actually see this being played in non Infernity
yeah,
decks in the format. Like that's the crazy thing about it, because it doesn't say anything about when your Infernity monster is destroyed by battle. It just says when your monster is destroyed by battle.
yeah. I think
So
some zombie decks back in the day try to add this guy. Like they would play like this Inferno just to dump like a bunch of these 2 or so in the grave, and then you can just like crash your pyramid turtle or have it get ran over, and you just have like you just spam level 8 monsters, which is I see potential in that.
yeah, I definitely agree with that. Okay, so what's next? Inferno Mirage. This card was insane, but because of the whole deck, not just itself, cannot be special summoned from the grave. So you can special summon from your hand though, which is relevant. If you have no cards in your hand, you contribute this card and target 2 Inferno monsters in your graveyard, special summon them. This is not once per turn. I just want that to be like a known
A
thing.
common
That
trend
is
for the set.
problematic. Yeah, it is a problematic thing. It is not once per turn. It can be special summon from the hand, and it brings back 2 guys. Card's insane, obviously. This card, is very good. It probably would be extremely good in Edison and all that stuff. Like you do have
Yeah,
Inferno Archfiend
you
and
got these two.
Necromancer.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's the two that you usually bring back anyway. So that is really cool. Uh, but yeah, I don't really know if there's much else to say about it. It's
Yeah.
a 1-for-1 target as well, though, right? You can 1-for-1 this guy
Yeah,
out.
and it's something you can get off Mystic Tomato if you're in a pinch. So.
Right, right. So there are things. There are definitely things. And then launcher is,
Yeah.
you know, the spell equivalent of that guy. Once per turn, you can send an Inferno monster from your hand to the grave. Then you can send this card to the graveyard and then target up to 2 Inferno monsters. So up to 2, that's relevant. You can just target 1 if you wanted to. Up to 2 Inferno monsters in your grave, special summon them. You must have no cards in your hand to activate and to resolve this effect.
And one thing
Yeah.
about Mirage though is that you can DD Crow and make it fizzle, whereas Launcher doesn't fizzle because it says up to 2, like you said.
Right, right, right. That's extremely relevant actually. Yeah. So Ash has target 2 Inferno monsters in your graveyard, special summon them. It doesn't say special summon those targets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think this card would just actually make Inferno good. Like this or like one of the traps, just because you can you can technically play 3 launchers if it were legal in Edison format. So
yeah,
you could just keep on spam and synchro somehow, which I guess Diva, you can get 2 tuners or Powerwell with Krebins if you just like go Greffer, ditch all your guys. So I definitely
there's
think,
also plague splitter and stuff like that.
yeah, there's just a lot of good tuners you can combine this with to make it like not okay. And it's just like a constant reborn. You can just search a lot. And then Zero Max is kind of like the crappy version of Launcher. Um,
Yeah, activate only if you have no cards in your hand. Select one Inferno monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and destroy all face-up monsters on the field. If attack lower than the special summon monster's attack, you can now conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this card. So this was definitely meant to be used in conjunction with Infinity Destroyer because he has the highest attack. He's 2300.
well,
You know,
I can see like this effect being decent to destroy like all smaller monsters. So I mean, there's
yeah, I mean that too. Does this cause Archfiend to miss timing now?
it
That's my
does,
question.
yeah. So that's
And
why it
that's
was
why
never that good.
that's exactly why I said it's meant to be used in construction in conjunction with Destroyer because I remember vaguely, and I'm glad you just confirmed that this card it kind of sucks. If it makes Archfiend the best card in the deck miss timing, it sucks. Like
Yeah.
that's just the long of it. Okay, Infinity Barrier. Now here's where things get not okay. This card came out, was $100. It was the chase card of the set before people realized that this set had
the real
a
chase
lot
card
more
was a
potential.
common.
The real chase card was a comment, and we'll get to that. Looks like at the end, but yeah, Infinity Barrier was wild. It is a counter trap that can negate anything, and at that time, like for how easy it is to activate this thing, that was just a very broken thing to have. Also, the deck can search out 3 of it in its combo. Now in Edison format, I am not 100% sure if you can combo as hard to get multiple copies of Barrier set, but if you can in any way, that is broken.
Yeah, I can see a world where like break, barrier, launcher were illegal, then you can make it work. But yeah, this
Yeah,
having like Omni, this was like one of the first Omni negates. That's like negate everything aside from Solemn, which is
right.
kind of crazy. It
Is
was
Stingy and
searchable.
Street Patrol in in Edison format?
No, it came out the oh no, it came out set in Duelist Revolution, which is set after uh the Shiny Darkness, I think. So it wasn't out at
Okay.
this point.
All right, cool. Because I know that card is a very, very
That
relevant
card would
card to
actually
make.
make the Fan Chaos deck really good in Edison format.
Right, right. Yeah. So Infinity Barrier, it's cool, but I don't think this single card coming in the Edison format would change it that much. I could be wrong about that, but that's because I'm not familiar with like some of the crazy combos that you might be able to revive Archfiend multiple times in one turn. If that's possible without launcher, without Mirage, without some way to spam Necromancer, then you have to let me know because I
And
don't
then
see it.
there's also this guy. He's kind of bad, but he's like a Spirit Reaper where he can't be destroyed by battle or card
Right, and he
effects.
is out. Yeah.
Yeah, he was out in some promo.
Yep.
Um,
Infernity Break, same thing. It's a very good card, and it's insane if you can get multiple copies of it set. That's how the deck won in 2014 a lot of the time. They would just get the one barrier and multiple breaks, and then you can't possibly beat them unless you have like needle sealing. So again, same logic though. If you can't get multiple copies in one turn, I don't really see this being outrageous or anything. It
I
is
think
just a
I think the one thing is that you can like you can try to play it like a grind deck again, where if you set up Necromancer, Archfiend, and you just keep on searching these turn after turn. I could see it
Yeah.
being a little out of hand. And this might be a
Yeah.
little bit more flexible because you don't have to have a face-up Inferno Monster to make it weird.
Right.
Just
That
a
is the
Raigeki
thing
break.
about it. Yep, a free Raigeki break, which is already broken in itself.
Yeah.
So your opponent tries to kill your Necromancer, you Raigeki break them, and then on your turn you bring back, you revive Archfiend or whatever, and you get another copy. I could see that being a thing.
So
Okay.
yeah, we took a little bit on those guys, but these are all the rest of the stuff's a lot smaller, so we can just kind of probably go fly through them real quick because there's probably less to talk about.
Yeah. So Wild Giraffe, it was a super rare, I believe, because I
Yeah.
packed this card quite a lot. And I remember this card actually being like not terrible. So I'm gonna read it out. This card can attack your opponent directly, which is an effect that I believe all the Watts have.
Yeah.
So it says this card can attack your opponent directly. If this card inflicts damage to your opponent by a direct attack, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of this turn. Yes, so this card is actually terrifying because you can do shit like attack you directly, and then main phase 2, like teleport, Black Rose you, and your opponent can't do shit about that. You get where I'm going? Like they
Yeah.
can't do anything because they can't do any effects. You can't activate cards or effects until the end of the turn. So this card actually has some potential back in the day for just like stunning people for one turn and then
I mean, you
doing
can throw
something
in something like
outrageous.
I don't know, like you can go like do this and then Heavy Storm or Judgment
Yep.
Dragon, any like
Yep.
sweeper pretty much.
Yeah, any sweeper. This card is absolutely insane. But yeah, that's Watt Giraffe. I think this card would actually be really cool to have in Edison format. I think that the fairy deck that already plays triple Shining Angel,
Yeah.
triple Nova Summoner, because you could search this guy out from your deck. You could do really cool stuff where you like crash, 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 right? So you crash 4 Shining Angels, then you end on Watt Giraffe, you go attack directly. Your opponent now can't activate anything,
What
and then you could drop.
what would be crazy to me is that they attack into it and then you honest them and then they can't activate anything else for the turn.
Oh, I like that too. I like that a lot. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, this card can do a lot of crazy shit, especially in a format that is as slow as Edison format.
Yeah.
It wasn't as good, obviously, when it came out. Because look at this set, right? Like this set is game changing. This is one of the game changing sets of all time. And if you think about it, a lot of the sets that have something to do about darkness, they tend to be that way. So the Phantom Darkness, the one with Dark Arm Dragon and all other Dark Monsters, Armageddon and Greffer. Like anytime darkness is in a name, it's probably just a not okay
Yeah.
set.
You know it's gonna go down if the set has dark in its name. So
Yes, Legacy of Darkness. Like every set that has darkness in it is just broken.
yeah.
But yeah, Watt Giraffe is a pretty cool card. Okay, Watt Fox. If this card is destroyed by your opponent's card, either by battle or by card effect, so torrential and stuff like that, your opponent cannot special summon a monster or activate spells, traps, spell trap effects, or monster card effects for the rest of this turn. That's interesting.
So yeah, it's kind of similar to Giraffe where you can, I guess, crash it into something and then you just can't activate anything. Or if they just run it
I don't
over.
recall. Oh, it's a tuner. Okay, I'm about to say, why would I play this though? So this one's a tuner, and it's 2 stars. So it's a 2-star tuner. It's thunder. They're all thunder, of course. But it's a 2-star tuner. It's light. They both get under bottomless, so that's not really like a special thing for this one. But yeah, if this card is destroyed by your opponent's card, and that's by battle or card effect, so anything that happens to it, your opponent cannot special summon a monster or activate spell traps, spell trap effects, or monster effects for the rest of the turn. So it cuts off all things they could do except like set or summon.
Yeah, so this turn, I mean, they're both pretty similar. I guess one's just a tuner, one's not.
Yeah, I like the Watt Giraffe more though. The attack directly thing is more proactive, and the other one is more like reactive. It's because you need your opponent to basically be the one who destroyed it, whereas the Giraffe is like, if you don't play the game, I'm going to get in for 1200, and then you really can't play the game.
You don't deprison this guy.
Yeah, like you have to respond exactly. This guy, just like Unifrog, will guarantee elicit a Mirror Force or a deprison or whatever, right? Like every time I summon Unifrog, someone's like, "Yeah, I got a Mirror Force because I'm gonna lose it anyway. I might as well, right?"
Yeah.
So
I can
that's
see
how I feel
can
about it.
even see Watt Fox being pretty decent as well, but I think Giraffe is better too.
Yeah. Okay, Nimble Sunfish. So just by the picture of this card, I remember this card just having like it had potential at times. But the effect of it is when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, send 1 fish monster from your deck to the graveyard. Then you can special summon one Nimble Sunfish from your deck. So that's a lot, but it's also just good, if I'm not mistaken. There was a card called Fish Death Charge or something like that. I forget. Let me see. It's like Fish
It's
Death
a trap
Charge.
card. Tribute one fish monster to destroy or to target one card on the field. Destroy that target, and if you do, draw. That's like Jonah Spark, pretty much.
Yeah, actually, it is. It's tribute for cost, I think.
Yeah.
Tribute one fish monster to target one card in the field. Yeah, that's a cost. Destroy that card. Yeah, it is. It's Gemini Spark, but just a trap, so it's worse. But I remember like people trying to do stuff with fish, and this guy's like, when he's destroyed by battle and sent to the grave, send one fish monster from your deck to the grave. And is Fishborg Blaster, I'm assuming, is a fish.
Yeah, so that's why I was going with this card. It's like a self wall if you play 3 of this, for example. Yep. And then each time you just send a fish, so you can just send Fishborg Blasters to like make your like Qualicanth online. So I can see it being good for like the fish deck.
Yep. And let me read Oyster Meister real quick.
Yeah.
Oyster Meister says if this card is sent from the field to the grave, okay, so it has to be sent from the field. Never mind. I just want to make sure that there's
not. It's an Armageddon Night for Fishborg, but there's no good way. There's like Swap Frog can't send Fishborg, so you just need a good way to send it to the grave. So I think that's
okay.
A good use for that. I think it would be used in a fish deck or maybe some other fish strategy. I don't know any other fish cards are really that good, but that Death Charge card is pretty cool. So.
Yeah, it's nice. All right, so now we got a Clocky Miro section. I historically hate this deck. There was a guy in my local named Gary Brown who would always.
Clocky Miro guy.
Yeah, he would play it on and off. It would be like his fun deck that he would pull out, and I would be fully like I always played just whatever the realist deck is or whatever the realist decks were. So it would just annoy me because every once in a while I would lose like a game to it. But I would always win the full set. Like I'd never lose a set to this goddamn deck. So I know a lot about it, but I never respected it. I always just saw it as like, why are you playing that? You could just play something much better than this. And every time I see these cards, I think like the maintenance cost on them is just a bit much. So this is Berg Zach, and he says during each of your end phases, destroy him unless you send one Iron Core from your hand to the grave or reveal a warrior. So first of all, let me just say this: the fact that all these guys require you to send Iron Core to the grave is fucking wild to me. Like, if it said reveal an Iron Core or reveal a warrior, these cards would be so much better, so much more playable. But like sending it from your hand to the grave is just a straight up minus, and I hate that. I've always hated that. And then I know on your draw phase you can choose to just add the Iron Core back, but that even seems ass to me. I'm not a fan of skipping my draw phase to just add back this shitty spell card. So the whole premise of this deck, I just hated it. This one is kind of cool because it's a 4-star warrior, 2000 attack, and you can keep it on the field by revealing another warrior, which warriors are great. Like dragons, warriors, and spellcasters are the best types in Yu-Gi-Oh! Even to this day. They're just the most represented types across the entire game. They have the most busted cards. So like him being a warrior and 4 stars and reinforcement of the army existing, great. Like that's great. And then he can attack twice. I've taken 4,000 to this guy, or not literally 4,000, but like the fact that he can attack twice, like I've taken a lot of damage from this guy. Like he can attack over a guy and then attack directly. So you'll take 2,000 from the direct attack, and then whatever he beat in battle, which he will probably beat your monster in battle since he's 2,000 attack. But he's actually genuinely a decent card. Like I cannot shit on him because warrior is easy to reveal at the end phase.
Yeah, and I think one thing he makes like Rook Lord like probably maybe a playable card just because he reveals warriors too, and if he could sack off Burzak. Just to pop 2, which I see potential in that. Maybe in like some weird warrior deck for Edison format. And this guy is solid enough by himself, so I think that it could be used in something maybe.
He's not the worst. Yeah. I can even see an Earth deck with him in like Gigantes and stuff like that. It's like a beatdown. Yeah. All right. Sandman, Clocky Miro Sandman. During each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send an Iron Core. Or reveal one rock monster. So it's another rock, which the deck, there's already an Edison deck, the Hero Dark Gaia deck that plays rocks. And this is another 1900 rock. And he does have a pretty decent effect too. So when your opponent activates a trap card, you can tribute this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. And I like this a lot because this allows you to summon into Torrential and Mirror Force and not give a fuck because you can just tribute this guy to negate it. And I think that is fantastic. Clocky Miro Guardian is already a better Doom Caliber Knight. So this being a team trap disposal unit or whatever that card is called, this is basically yeah. Yes, it's that card, but 1900. Sandman is just it's decent. Like in a rock deck or like a Dark Gaia deck. I think that this is actually really good for the Dark Gaia deck because obviously you want your Dark Gaia to get through battle traps and shit that turn, and this guy guarantees it.
Yeah,
and he also is your strategy.
He doesn't care.
Yeah,
you just like go ham, which is what that deck's trying to do. And then you said like the rock stun deck. I think this card is what makes the rock stun deck viable because you have like Fossil Dyna, Guardian, and then this guy, and then I guess Grand Mole. So like all those cards together kind of makes it a somewhat viable deck. Whereas like without this guy Sandman, then you don't really have enough good rock monsters to make it like a stun deck. So
right.
Yeah, Sandman would definitely make those two decks pretty good.
Yeah, I could just see this being an actual good addition in the format. Yeah, nothing bad to really say about Sandman. All right, what the hell is this? So, Clocky Miro Prototype, a 4-star monster with 18/18. So those are interesting stats. If a face-up Clocky Miro monster on the field would be destroyed during the end phase, you can destroy this card instead. Okay, Sacrificial Lamb. When a face-up Clocky Miro monster on the field is destroyed during the end phase, you can special summon one Clocky Miro token. That's 18/18. So trash. This card is fucking awful. I do not see it for it at all unless you're just playing some strategy where like on the end phase you're trying to let all your guys die and then you get all these tokens, I guess, that are 18/18, but like that's just not it. I never seen this card see play. Yeah, I never seen this card see play. It's rock, but not a good rock. It's an actual rock. It's a brick. So fuck this thing. Let's move on.
Okay.
All right.
We got Core Overclock.
Yeah, all face-up Clocky Miro monsters you control gain 500 attack. Once per turn during your main phase, you can discard one Iron Core to have all face-up Clocky Miro monsters you control gain 1,000. I remember this card being played against me a lot, and this card is actually. I know it doesn't sound like it, guys. This card is fucking obnoxious.
Yeah.
Okay, like all your guys naturally gain 500. So that Bergzag dude that's already 2,000, he's 25 now. Remember him? Yeah, he's 25. And then. Yeah, 25 attack twice is wild. But then you can discard Iron Core Clocky Miro because what the hell else are you gonna do with the brick? And you can make all your guys gain 1,000 attack. So then like they're up 500, then they go up another 1,000. So they go up 1,500, which means that they can beat anything in battle. There's nothing they can't beat in battle at that point. And yeah, this is like it's continuous, so it stays on the field. So you always have that threat. And because they can grab back Iron Core in the draw phase, they can just be like, my guy's buffed 1,500 again. Like I don't need to draw. I'm just going to attack you again with my guys being huge. So just think about it like this: if they had 2 monsters on the field, they get plus 3,000 damage that turn.
Yeah,
because they get each one of them gains 1,500 attack because of this card and core thing. So like 2 guys equals 3,000 more damage. Go ahead.
This card is just kind of like, I think it would be pretty good in Edison format. It's kind of like a solidarity for the deck, I guess, if you make it work. Because like you can just make your guy, and if you have multiple of these too, like I don't know, 2 and 3.
Yeah,
it just stacks.
Yeah, you never even have to really use the Scar Clocky Miro core effect. You could just literally have this on the field for plus 500 is already good.
Yeah, just like you can
for
have
what
like
this deck is trying to do,
like a 2,400 like Guardian or 2,900 Guardian. Like that's scary.
Yeah,
sounds
agreed.
Like Lad, pretty much.
Yep. Okay. So, while I think that the other cards besides the turtle are pretty decent, Clocky Miro Initialize. So it says tribute a Clocky Miro monster to add 1 Iron Core from your deck or graveyard to your hand. This seems ass. I don't really get it. I'm not really sure why I would want to do this. I don't recall seeing this really played. I think that this is.
Yeah.
It's just like a worse Gemini Spark. This doesn't help the deck. Like this is not what the deck needs.
Yeah, I can only see it being good if you're like your guy's gonna get destroyed by like a deep prison or something, and then you can just
because
you're
the
like Iron Core back just to get something.
Right, so you lose 2 cards. Your opponent loses their deep prison, but then you gain a card, so you kind of go like even with them. But then you're searching Iron Core Clocky Miro, so your opponent's like, oh, you still went minus. So it's just like whatever.
Yeah.
This doesn't help. This would not be the addition you need in Edison format. Okay, so Edison format. Blackwing's best deck. Everyone knows it, right? Propaganda. Now we get on to Blackwing Breeze to Zephyr. And I remember when this card was announced back in actual 2010, because I lived it, This was hyped, and it did not live up to the hype. It was hyped so hard. But the problem is, if you talk about Breeze in 2010, you have to talk about everything that came out in the Shining Darkness. Everything you see in this picture, plus more, all coming out at once. So Breeze ended up not living up to the hype. But in the context of this video, we're talking about bringing Breeze into Edison format. And that's a different thing.
Yeah.
So this card says, and it's a 3-star tuner, of course, Wing Beast, of course, Dark, and it's under bottomless trap hole stats. So it says if this card is added from your deck to your hand by a card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Cannot be used as a synchro material except for the synchro summon of a Blackwing monster. Okay, so it looks like it's a Shura target, right? You can summon it with Shura, and Shura will negate its effect, so you can synchro for anything you want. So instead of getting your Gale and like using your Gale for level 7, you can just use this thing. But also it makes Whirlwind a better card, I guess, because not like Whirlwind doesn't need anything else to be better. Don't get me wrong, but like you could go summon shitty Bora with Whirlwind and search this out and make an Armor Master immediately.
Well, I think the bigger thing is that you can go summon Blizzard and add him because he has 1100 attack.
Oh, I like that. I like that too. So it gives you a Blizzard.
You don't have to get Vayu. You could play more of this guy, and he's just kind of like a bad Gale in a sense, but the 1100 makes it okay with Blizzard plus Whirlwind. So I like that aspect.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. It makes your Whirlwind longevity better. So like you said, I didn't think about that, but that's a good point. You don't have to search value, which is typically not the best thing to search. You're just kind of searching it just because you don't want to draw it. But this guy, you can search it, Blizzard, and you can special summon at the same turn. So it could be like Chainlink 1 Blizzard, Chainlink 2 Whirlwind. Oh wait, this says if too. Yeah. So it can't miss timing. So you go Chainlink 1 Blizzard, or you can do Chainlink 2 Blizzard, whatever makes sense at the time. Like Chainlink 1 Blizzard, Chainlink 2 Whirlwind, search this guy, Blizzard, bring back a guy, and then special summon this guy from your hand. And then you could just like do all kinds of synchro swarm the field nonsense that Blackwings are known for. Pretty decent card. This would be relevant. Yeah. This would be relevant even if we only played one of it in Blackwings, which is what I imagine would happen. I don't think this card would be played in more than one, unless you're playing like some crazy all-out Blackwing deck that just plays 3 of everybody. But in general, I think that this card would just be played at 1, like it was when it actually did come out. The decks that played it sometimes play 1 copy, and that was it.
I remember you said
not meta breaking.
I remember you said that like this card was so hyped. My friend that played Blackwings at the time, he was so pumped for this card. It was like,
yes,
I have to get
it was an
ultimate.
ultra too.
Yeah, he's like, I have to get the ultimate first one out. The card's crazy.
Yeah, everyone thought that Breeze was going to be a really cool card, and it did not live up to it. So, yeah. All right, there's another Blackwing that I don't really remember that well. Blackwing Gust the Backblast. If you control no cards, that sounds wild. If you control no cards, you can special summon this card from your hand. If your opponent's monster attacks a Blackwing monster you control, the attacking monster loses 300 attack during the damage step only. So it has a similar effect to Soul of Purity and Light.
Honestly, when I read this card, I thought it said no cards in hand for some reason. That would make it a lot
if you
better,
control no cards.
No cards is okay. This guy sucks.
You have to have literally nothing on the field. Yeah, I don't get it.
Call, man. I thought it said something else, but
not playable, and that's why I don't remember it that well. Okay, so Battery Man got some buffs, and I do remember these are actually real buffs. So let's see. The first one is Battery Man Fuel Cell. It's a 6-star light thunder monster, 2100 attack. If you control 2 or more face-up Battery Man monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. So already, that's just like really cool. They get their own fall troll. You control 2 guys, special summon from your hand. We love it. Once per turn, you contribute 1 Battery Man monster, except this card, to select 1 card your opponent controls and return it to the hand. So against synchros and fusion monsters, this guy is really good. He can just tribute your Battery Men, which are probably not the best cards to have on the field, and he can return a card your opponent controls to their hand, and that's really good. Also, is that 1 Battery Man already out? The 2600 one that pops a set.
The big guy.
Yes.
Industrial strength. Yes.
He's out. Okay. So yeah, he's broken actually.
I think the one thing that's keeping Battery Man, because they have like a bunch of Monster Reborn cards, but the problem is they just don't have enough guys. Like they have like two to 3 decent guys, so I think like they just need bodies pretty much.
Yes, and that's I guess this Battery Man AAA is trying to help with that, because it says when this card is normal summoned or flip summoned, or no, when this card is normal summoned or flip face up, there's a difference. You can special summon one Battery Man AAA from your hand or graveyard. So he kind of helps with the whole getting multiple guys on the field, but not the best. I
think
don't know
he's a
if any
little
of
bit
these
better when
cards.
rank 4s come out, but
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. He seems a little premature and a whole year early. Not really.
it's kind of
I
like a
don't really think
backwards
he's.
diva. Like it's not a tuner, but if you have like a tuner or something, maybe it could work.
Yeah, yeah. If they have a, I know that there's actually a light Armageddonite, like he has a light version or something. I
This
forget
guy came
exactly
out
how.
way later. The solar, but
Yeah, Solar is wild, right? Isn't
or
that card insane?
yeah, this guy too. This
9
one
volt.
adds and this one sends a thunder, but yeah.
Yeah. So they get better, but these two cards are not what they need to really fix themselves. This is not going to
Yes,
solve the issues.
it'll still be like a pretty bad deck probably, but
Yep. Okay,
anyway.
Dread Dragon. So 2-star Dragon Tuner. So amazing typing, amazing everything. Like this is already good. 1100 attack for a 2-star is kind of that's high.
He's huge.
He's bigger than Swap Frog. So there's that. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can add one level 3 or lower dragon type monster from your deck to your hand. What is relevant to search with this? Whitestone or Legend is something I think about.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the main thing was for like the Disaster Dragon deck. They don't have like any good. They don't have a lot of good stuff with Mass Dragon. So
yes,
the fact
this
that
is
they
also
can
a
just
Cards
get
of
a tuner,
Consonance target, right? Or
it
no,
is
it's not
not. It
Cards of
just misses
Consonance.
the threshold because it's 1100.
They purposely did that. Right.
Dude, that would be crazy if he was like 1,000, like the Redragon, and you can Cards of Consonance. Oh my god.
Yeah, so he's probably actually ass now that I'm looking at like
But
everything surrounding him.
I think the only thing with the Disaster Dragon deck, that deck has like no tuners. You can force Debris Dragon, but Debris Dragon doesn't really do anything. But this guy
Yeah,
lets like at least lets you like make Brionic to break like a dupe block or something. So
right.
that's about the only thing going for it.
Yeah, I like making my Brionics with Instant Fusion plus Whitestone, and then getting a Blue Eyes to discard with
Yeah.
Brionic. But different topic. I don't think this would like change anything about Edison Dragons. If I'm being completely honest, I don't see it. It just seems like a card that I don't really want to draw. I mean, drawing is not the worst. It's like drawing Dupe Frog and Monarchs, I guess. Like you just set it and they kill it and you get a guy. But like I don't know. I don't think that this is really.
Yeah, it's not a big buff, but like it at least gives you an
Yeah.
option to go into the extra deck. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, you dragon enthusiasts, you let us know if Dread Dragon is what you've been waiting for your whole life. You let us know.
If I
Okay.
had Dread Dragon, I could play
Yeah.
my deck.
Man, you don't know. When I get my Dread Dragon, it's over for you, frogs. Okay, so when we have Revival Rose, I do not remember this card. I remember the picture and everything, but I don't remember the effect.
I think it
So
was a rare
it says
from the set. So.
it definitely looks like it was a rare. I know the next card, the Cherry and Motto, is definitely a rare. I remember that. But Revival Rose, so it's a plant. Plants already have a lot of support in general in Yu-Gi-Oh! If a face-up level 5 or higher plant monster you control is destroyed while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from the graveyard. So that's not bad. That's not terrible. If a face-up level 5 or higher plant monster you control is destroyed while this card is in the graveyard, and it's not once per turn.
I think it would be good in the plant burn deck because the cluster, the
Right.
cluster, like it gets destroyed and you can just reborn this back and do
Oh,
something
that's
with
exactly what this was designed for. Yeah, that's what it's like a wall too.
it.
So in the end, like that
Yeah, you can just
Phoenician cluster gets destroyed.
keep on cycling through it, pretty much.
Yeah, I could see that. That's the best I got with this. Okay, Cherry and Motto. Let's go to this thing. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon up to 2 in Motto monsters from your deck. They cannot be used as synchro materials this turn. So when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon up to 2 in Motto monsters. Are there more than this as far as in Motto?
There's one in Motto. This guy, he's not very good.
He's just
level
called.
3.
He's called in Motto. And when one other face-up plant monster is targeted by the effect of a spell or trap your opponent controls, you contribute this card to draw 2. Yeah, that's just not happening.
Yeah. So when I was like when Edison format was at like the current format, I was like 13, and when this set came out, I was like, oh, this card is really cool. So I was like that. people were playing quick draw and stuff, I was playing this as my plant deck, just like in motto. I guess it like enables Dark Arm in the plant deck. You can go Mystic
Yeah.
Tomato into this, but which is kind of cool, I guess. But it's it's definitely a little lackluster.
Yeah. Not a fan. I don't think this ever made any real waves or anything like that. So moving right along.
Now, okay, I think this card's cool.
The Fountain in the Sky?
Yes.
All right. So I'll just say this. I don't remember this card literally at all. I have no idea what this does. So I'm going in raw here. But the Fountain in the Sky is a continuous spell card. It says when a light monster is destroyed by battle and sent to your graveyard, you can remove that monster from play to gain life points equal to its attack. So that is actually good. And I already see what's wrong with this card.
Yeah.
Crash Shining Angel, banish game 14. Crash Shining Angel, banish game 14. Crash Shining Angel, banish game 14. Crash Nova Summoner, banish game 14. Crash Nova Summoner, banish game 14. Crash Nova Summoner, banish game 14. Summon Dimensional Alchemist. So like all of that off of just one recruiter.
You gain
and
like 8,000 life points probably.
Yeah, you lost something, but you definitely gained more than you lost if you're doing this.
If you combined it with like Black Garden and you just crash on the Black Garden tokens for neg 100, then
yeah. So
crazy.
this is cute.
I could definitely see it
I
playable to some degree. Like it would be like a gimmicky kind of deck, but
definitely gimmicky. Definitely some shit where it's trying to stall the game out and win in time. I can see that being a thing. It definitely gives me like I'm trying to play for time vibes. Like Soul Absorption and Necroface type nonsense.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, is Necroface legal in Edison?
Yes, it's at 1.
It's at 1, and Gold Sark is at 2. Okay.
So if you can combine this with Necroface, that'd be kind of crazy in some way.
Yeah, because Soul Absorption, Gold Sark, and Necroface is already you gain 5,000 life points, I think it is, when you do that. Like, you play Soul Absorption, you gain 500 for every card banished. You and your opponent both banish the top 5, so y'all both 2,500, 25. Yeah, you gain 5,000, I think.
And if you have, I guess, technically multiple of these, then you can gain double.
Yes.
Well, no, it actually doesn't. I don't think it works like that, because I don't know.
Oh, yeah. You have to remove from play.
Yeah.
Right,
okay, so it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But yeah,
all right, anyway.
Card,
yeah, I'm glad that you chose that one. All right, Guard Mines. I remember this card kind of. I don't know if it was actually played that much, but I remember that.
Card before.
Activate. It's a trap, normal trap. Activate only when a card is activated with an effect that would target and destroy one monster you control. Negate the effect and destroy that card. Then inflict 500 damage to your opponent. So this card definitely people tried to play this. I remember that. Target destroy one monster you control. So what targets and destroys one monster in at this time? Because we don't play Sakuretsu Armor, we play Deep Prism. We don't play Zaborg, we play Caius. So I don't really know what targets and destroys.
I guess Icarus attack.
Raikou.
Yeah, Raikou.
Not many things though. So that's the problem with it, is that there aren't many things that specifically target and destroy one monster you control. But yeah, negate the effect and destroy that card and inflict 500 damage just because it's okay. It would not change Edison, I don't think. I don't think we do enough targeting and destroying in that format. We do a lot of banishing, though.
Trying to pick out one card and prevent it from, I guess, Jonah Spark, maybe?
Yeah.
They'll get wrecked by that. They go like neg 1 and I guess lose 500.
But my body as a shield already covers that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. While also covering like Torrential and Mirror Force at the same time. Yeah. So I don't really see, and even Absolute Zero in some instances, my body as a shield can cover that too. So, all right. Herald and Herald of Perfection and Dawn of the Herald. So this is a package deal.
Yeah.
Got to talk about them together. Can't have one without the other. But
another exhibit of making, just be too OP in Edison format. But.
Yeah. So how would this would be hard to get off the field? 2,800 defense is already a lot in Edison format. Like, and then we have triple Manju, triple Sanju, triple Sonic Bird.
Yep.
So all of the guys are just complete, and then Preparation of Rites, I'm pretty sure, is at 3.
Yeah, that's card. I don't think it probably makes this like prep is like playable with this card, whereas really
Preparation of Rites. Also, Herald of Orange Light, as we now know in hindsight, is one of the best cards ever printed, and Christia is also one of the best cards ever printed. I could see this being problematic in a fairy deck for sure. This would just be really, really obnoxious. There would be a whole. It might be the best deck in the format. There would be a whole deck dedicated to Christia, this guy, and just a bunch of those Manjus and Sanjus because they're insane. They're actually just good. They're Stratoses basically. Like they're 1400. They get under bottomless. They're 1400 Stratoses, and yeah,
I remember
they're
that
also
Herald,
light.
that Herald deck that just played a bunch of normal fairy monsters.
Right. It played Moki Mokis and stuff to play Advanced Ritual Art.
And then it played like the spell card to get two normal monsters from your grave to your hand or something like that.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. But this would definitely be relevant for sure. This would be its own deck, and it would likely be S tier in Edison.
Yeah.
So there's that. I don't really know how you get like again in defense mode. I don't really know what we're supposed to do to get this off the field. It would be very very
Dawn
difficult.
Of the Herald's crazy too, isn't it? When a Herald Perfection is ritual summoned by this card, you could banish this card from your grave, target one monster in your grave that was treated, and add it to your hand. Oh.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just broken.
Yeah.
So you could like tribute Manju and Herald of Orange Light, then banish it and add back Manju. Add back Herald of Orange Light, whatever one you need it. A very, very good card. I don't really think much else has to be said about it. This would 100% be a deck.
Christia, like you can manage your grave with Christia too.
Correct. So yeah, just an amazing card.
Yeah.
Okay, this is another card that was hyped up back when it first came out. Everyone thought that this was going to break Blackwings more than the deck was already broken since 2009. Newsflash, spoiler alert, it did not. This card did not live up to the hype either. It was ultra rare. Everyone was at the sneak preview. Inferno Barrier and this card were like the cards that everyone was gunning for, and Breeze to some degree. But I'll tell you now, this card is a nice tech of, like a nice tech card that you could play one copy of or whatever. But it's just not.
Yeah.
It's just not as good as it seems. Like when you read it, you're like, oh, that banish a Blackwing from your hand, draw 2. You can have special monsters during a turn, you activate this card. And you're like, oh, that's not even a real drawback. And you can only activate one of it. You're like, that's not that big of a drawback. But then when you actually play the deck, you realize how many things that cuts off, right? So sure, you get the best case scenario, you banish value, right? That's what we're all thinking. We're all thinking, oh, you banish value. Value, I don't want to fucking draw that thing. I'll banish it every day. I'd banish it already with a lure. I'll banish it with this. And you draw 2. Great. Not being able to special summon though cuts off Shore's effect, cuts off Gale's effect, cuts off Board's effect, and cuts off Blizzard's effect. That's a lot of your deck that you can't use their full effects. And Blizzard just is a normal monster at that point, right? Like you can't even, it doesn't do a single thing. So the turn you use this, you can't use Blizzard. Blizzard is the best Blackwing monster basically. So like, what are we doing? Not being able to swarm the field is kind of the point. Also, imagine like banishing value, summoning Shora, attacking a Mystic Tomato, but you can't actually use Shora's effect. Because why? You play cards with Black Levers this turn. So this card in actual practice, like in non-theoretical Yu-Gi-Oh, when you actually put it into practice, was just not as good as it reads. It was way worse. And people teched one copy of it, and I think that that's as much as you probably should play of it. You might be able to build a Blackwing deck that's better for this, but like honestly, when this pack comes out, Blackwings are already like kind of just pushed out the meta a bit. Now, in the context of Edison, how would this affect Edison? Again, even in Edison format, I feel like a lot of your big pushes are going to come from your Blizzards, your Boar special summons, your Gale special summons. So I'm not, and even like your value effects, it cuts off your value effect in the grave too. You can't use value to turn. This is it's a big drawback. The not special summoning thing, you can't drop your Dark Arm. It's a lot.
I think.
And then
I was just gonna say that, like, the biggest thing to me is that this is like the only once per turn effect card.
Yep.
In the whole set probably. But like, if it wasn't once per turn, you could just play 3 of these in a lure and then just like speed through your deck, like a turbo deck.
I think that would be so much better. And then in fact, there's a card that comes out later on for fairies in an agent structure deck. There is a draw 2 where you banish a light monster or whatever, or discard a light. I forget, but you draw 2. It's the same type of card, but the difference is correct. The difference is you can play multiple copies of it in a turn. So you can't special or conduct your battle phase the time you activate it. So that's like very lofty. However, you can play you played 3 of this card. Like I played 3 of it. I actually topped nationals with this card in my deck. I played 3 copies of it because you could play all of them in one turn.
Yeah.
And that was broken. You like draw, and then yeah. So yeah, this card you can only play 1 of. For some reason, this is like one of the first ever You can only activate one of this
I
card.
guess,
So
I guess Konami thought it was gonna be too broken too.
yeah, like this will be played in Blackwings. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it would be played, but I don't think you would play more than
Yeah,
one of it.
I guess you can go
Maybe
back in
two.
one.
Yeah. Okay. Into the Void. Degenerate card. This would for sure make decks like Exodia and Dragon Turbo and a lot of other decks just more annoying because you can do really ignorant shit. So you can resolve Into the Void first and then resolve Super Rejuvenation after.
Yeah.
That is not okay. If you already get where I'm going with that, and I just came up with that off the top of my head. I just thought of it, but like you can choose how you resolve your cards in the end phase. So you can draw a bunch, Into the Voids, upstarts, trade-ins, cards of continents, all that nonsense, and then on the end phase you go resolve Into the Void first. So then you end up discarding your hand, and it says the word discard specifically. So all the dragons and nonsense you have in your hand all get discarded, and they're still counted for Super Rejuvenation. And you go resolve Super Rejuvenation. Now I'm going to draw X amount, which is any amount of cards, and pop off. So there's a lot of things that this card made degenerate. This was never used for anything real ever. It was always for degenerate shit. It's one of those cards.
Yeah, if this card
It
was
makes
out,
Infernities
I think
better.
it would make Dragon Turbo this probably too much.
I agree. Even off the basis of what I just said, it would add consistency to the deck, which is much needed. It would add that in phase play I just said, which is also not okay. This card would be nonsense. This would be fucking non. It would make the format very unpleasant.
Yeah. I guess like you said, probably just using like Exodia decks. I'm not really. I don't know if it has like any other implications. Maybe that weird frog combo deck that I guess died off because no one likes playing against it or with it.
Yeah.
It might be played there, but yeah, like you said, it's not really played in like fair or like decks are actually trying to go back and forth because the drawback is you discard your hand. So
Right.
I guess maybe
It's
if
never going to be used
I guess
legitimate.
maybe if Dark World's in Edison, but I doubt it. Just because
Yeah.
they don't have most of their guys. Now, yep, that was Into the Void. Now this card is pretty cool. Intercept Wave.
Yeah, Intercept Wave is a quick play spell. This was an ultra rare, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was also
Yeah, it was
ulti.
like the ultras were ultis back then. So
Yes, and I remember packing this card in my sneak preview, and I didn't think much of it. It never really saw like a good amount of play. It kind of reads like a good card, but then you kind of say to yourself, why would I just not play Compulse at this point? Because Compulse has multiple. Compulse is more broad. This is just for synchro. So it says
yeah,
all synchro monsters on the field are changed to defense. Then return all face-up synchros to the extra deck during the end phase. There's a couple problems with that. So it waits until the end phase, which is annoying because anything can happen before the end phase. I can tribute my arm wing all for Caius. I can Icarus attack my arm wing. I can do many things with my cards before the end phase. I like that it's defensive, so you can set it against a field of armor masters and arm wings and like bench them all. And then on the end phase they get sent back. But like, yeah, this card really didn't see play like that, and it read better than it actually was. Like it reads like, oh my god, this is so good. Like your opponent's gonna have Stardust and Colossal on the field, like Teledan format, and I'm gonna just play this and win.
yeah.
And then you realize that you're just getting attacked over and over again by monsters that are not synchros, and you're staring at an intercept wave. Like what the fuck is this in my hand? So not
I
really
think it's
good.
good again, like a nice side deck card for a couple decks, like maybe Vayu. They're just like bringing Armed Wings out, and
Yeah,
then
but
Zombies.
that's when I just think, okay, zombies, sure. But I just think against Vayu specifically, because
Yeah,
that can actually attack you and like Caius and stuff like that, it has things that it can do with the arm wing, especially if this card's known about. So let's say we're playing Edison format with Intercept Wave in mind. So I'm attacking you with arm wing, and I have Caius in my hand. I'm not going to normal summon that turn because I'm thinking to myself already, like, you might Intercept Wave me. So I'm going to summon one arm wing at a time, and I'm going to attack you with this one slowly. And then if you Intercept Wave me, I'll just tribute it for Kai. Like stuff like that. When you put it in the context of the format where everyone knows about it, everyone's playing around it, it's not as good. And again, I just wonder why I wouldn't just be playing Compulse. Because
yeah,
I get it, this card can do multiples, but how many times is the value player outside of literally killing you that turn? Are they going to have multiple synchros on the field? Like, let's be real here. Uh,
yeah.
Compulse is just probably better in so many
This
cases.
mostly probably just a target against like zombies. Like,
Yeah. Now, zombies, they definitely get a little cucked by this, but I also would argue that there are better cards to side against zombies than even Intercept Wave. I think DD Crow and Compulse again are just better. Like your opponent, they do their combo and they bring out their Brionic, and you're just like, yeah, put that shit back in your extra deck. Like just I'm not even letting you get that far. Just compulse that right back, and then your turn is probably ended because you used a normal summon. This is before Ultimate Offering was a thing.
Yeah. I
The
guess
world is forever changed, but
I guess it's kind of like my thinking of it is like modern format, like where they have the cards that is prevent, 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 and then they have like the blowout cards that are like you do all your stuff, that's fine, and then I was like board wipe you or so I think maybe like you can do something cool like with maybe frogs to do like Wabaku and this or it would probably be a little too cute for Edison format, like you said.
yeah, I think that in Edison format. So I get what you're saying about Modern. We definitely do a lot of things. Well, not we, but they do a lot of things like evenly matched and there's a bunch of board wiping stuff.
Yeah.
Lightning Storm is at 3, and you got Rageki, you got Harpy's Feather Duster, you got all these board wiping cards. So I understand what you're saying, but the game is drastically
Yeah.
different. We're not playing the same game
Yep.
at all. This is in the context of Edison, and I know you get that. Frogs, if frogs just live, so you said Wabaku or whatever, and I like okay, so frogs, if the deck just lives, it already breaks boards, probably the easiest of any deck in the format. Like literally between Econ, Soul Exchange, and Caius, Ryza, etc., Junk Synchron, it breaks boards like it's nothing. In fact, I think that the way use to frogs most of the time is because you have a board and it's all your cards on the field, and then it just comes back. So this card, as cute as it is, um,
Yeah.
I don't think it really solves any of like Frog's problems.
Yeah.
I don't think that this card would not be really sided in that deck, to be honest.
Maybe if the only thing I could think of, maybe if it just bounced them like off the rip.
That's the thing. If it bounced them off rip, bro, I think that we actually have something to talk about. I think the in phase part really bothers me. Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
I'm just not a fan of it. And I remember when this card came out, it just wasn't really played, and for good reason. It wasn't like it was like, oh, we missed this. Like, no, we didn't miss it. It just literally wasn't good.
Yeah.
Okay. Corridor of Agony. I don't remember this one, but the picture looks familiar. So, continuous spell. Monsters that will special summon from the main deck cannot activate their effects. Their effects are negated, and they cannot declare an attack as long as they remain fit. Damn. Okay, I think I got caught by this before. So
I think this was like a bad tech against Glad Beast when the sec came out.
yeah, monsters that are special from the main deck cannot activate their effects. They're negated, and they cannot declare an attack. So literally, the worst for them. Like this is everything about this is like your deck can't play. This is an anti-Glad Beast card for sure.
The only thing I mean, if you have a way to keep them off Gutsaris, I guess, then.
Right.
But I can see this being like a bad floodgate for like decks that maybe just like if you can't play Oppression in your deck, maybe it's a good way to like stop the Glad Beast deck or some other deck that special summons from the deck.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of like a workaround floodgate you can maybe play on the side, but I had some other example where it would be good other than Glad Beast. What's another deck that special summons from the deck that has effects?
I think about zombies and fairies. They special because they play recruiters, like a good amount of them.
I guess they just can't attack or keep on crashing,
Right, and then Diva Hero.
Oh yeah.
Diva can't. You summon Diva, but then
Gilman.
like, yeah, you can't get your Gilman and attack with it or whatever. But then like you just synchro off with it. I don't know. This is not. It's a Glad Beast card. They know what they printed it for. We already got it. I think they were dragging it by trying to just like.
I thought I had something else in mind, but I guess maybe not.
If it is, it's probably like tier 5 or something. So, all right, Chaos Trap Hole. This card is relevant. It's this would have saw play. If this was an Edison format, this 100%, 1000% would see play. This is a fucking crazy card. Okay, so it says it's a counter trap. It's one of the best ever printed. When a light or dark monster or monsters would be summoned, you can pay 2,000 life points, negate the summon of the light and dark monster or monsters, and if you do, banish them. Or banish it. I don't know if that just means banish one of them or something, but
I think multiple.
Yeah, I would assume multiple, even though it doesn't use. So anyway, Blackwing's, best deck propaganda again in the format, and if not that, then like zombies, fairies, etc. These are all even decks that just play Caius, right? So this negates Caius. It negates all Blackwings. It negates all fairies, including Christia. It negates a good amount of synchros too, Colossal Fighter and all that jazz, like Thought Ruler, Magical Android. If it came down to that,
clean out the Christia.
This stops Alias from hitting the field.
Oh,
and he was going to do 1900 anyway. Now I just pay an extra 100 and he's gone and he's banished. Or no Miracle Fusion, no Gemini Spark, no Hero Blast, This card would be meta for sure. Like this would 100% change the meta. I think certain decks would be harder pressed to be viable. I think that maybe the best deck wouldn't be the best deck. So like this card is really really good.
I could see like Machine of Gadgets main decking this just to like dodge Cyber Dragon or sided.
That's yeah, and against decks that already play light. So like Blackwings play Cyber Dragon in their side deck a lot of time because they have to out consecrate light. So this would just hit everything in their deck still.
Yeah.
This card's amazing. This card is absolutely amazing. I like doing this. So
before Solemn Warning.
Yes, baby Solemn Warning. I played this actually in my 2016 Atlanta YCS deck. I got third place in that one. And I used an Ariadne Pepe deck. So it was the crazy Performer Pile deck that like you popped your scales that were Ariadne, you searched out a bunch of counter traps, and this was one of the counter traps that I searched out along with Solemn Strike and Solemn whatever, Scalding or Judgment or whatever. Solemn Warning, there you go. So many Solemns. But yeah, this was one of the cards that I actually sided. I'm pretty sure I sided this for the mirror match because Skull Crobat Joker was the normal summon that we all basically were gunning for, and stopping him was insane because he was Stratos. So but yeah, in the context of Edison, this card's insane. Stopping Caius is wild. Like I just imagine somebody tributing, like you went second and you set this and set like a Goblin Zombie and they go draw, tribute my guy. Yeah, they go draw, tribute my guy, summon Caius, and you're just like negate. Fuck off.
The word negate in Edison format.
Yeah, then like flip Goblin Zombie, negate. And banish it. Like the banish it is so crazy.
Yeah.
The banish part specifically is wild. Like flip Goblin Zombie and I go negate the summon and banish it. That is rough. That is extremely rough. Really good card. One of the best cards we covered so far.
This
honestly,
would probably force people made deck like or side Dust Tornadoes like a lot heavier.
Yeah, this is one of the craziest cards in the format. If it wasn't it, easily.
Yeah.
Okay. So another card. This was secret rare. Sniffus. I don't know how you say it, but okay, I like Sniffus because he has a big nose and it's very prevalent in the picture. So Sniffus it is. But this was a card that was hyped before it came out by me and other people. I think Jeff Jones was on this at first. Because it's a plant card. It's not actually a plant. It's a beast tuner, 1-star. So it's 1-for-1 target and all that stuff. But it works with plants. So it says once per turn, you contribute 1 plant monster to select and destroy face-up card your opponent controls. So just like Dandelion tokens immediately, right? And what's cool about it is that you can go 1-for-1 Dandy and bring this out. And like get our free, that's with pluses, just pluses on pluses. Then it says when a plant monsters the field is in the graveyard, you can special summon this card from the graveyard. So when a plant monster or monsters on the field is destroyed while this card is in the graveyard, is destroyed while this card is in the graveyard, you can special summon this card from the graveyard. And if you do, from play, so banish it when it leaves the field. This card never really did anything, but I think that's because of when it came out. It's just what plants weren't really relevant anymore. But if we again, in context of Edison, this would see play 1000%. This card would see play, and it will be actually pretty cute in a lot of decks. There's the we were talking about the Amaryllis Burn deck. That's like basically a plant deck. It plays triple Titanial and triple Amaryllis and fire and all that stuff. It would be decent in that, but then also just in quick draw. This would just be a card played in quick draw.
I always wanted this card to see play because I always thought it was so cool.
Me too, bro. I always wanted to see play, but it came out too late. Yeah. It's kind of like Tuning, right? Tuning is another card that comes out too late. If it came out earlier, Tuning would have been insane, and maybe I wouldn't hate quick draw so much. But like, yeah, it came out too late in the discussion.
I think this before we leave with Sniffus, I remember seeing this deck like way back in the day. We'd play like Black Garden and Imperial Iron Wall, and it was like some crazy loop with this deck. Like not like a toxic loop, but like drawn out, like you just lose all your advantage loop or like lose all your advantage versus this deck. So I think that'd be kind of cool because he's banished when he's like removed from the field. So Iron Wall will stop that, and then Black Garden just keeps on generating tokens. So like your opponent doesn't really get anywhere. But that was like one thought.
Alrighty. Okay, so I like this next guy a lot. Genex Neutron. This card did see play in actuality. It searches the Koichi on the end phase, I think. Or no, not the Koichi. It searches Black Salvo. It searches Black.
Pretty much any tuner, but I think Salvo would be the main one. Let me see if there's any other relevant tuners. at the
Yeah, it has to be a
time.
machine tuner. Machine specifically.
Yeah.
So I'll read the effect while you do that. So once per turn during the end phase, if this card was normal summon this turn, you can add one machine type tuner from your deck to your hand.
Yeah.
So
So it can add quick draw synchron, which is cool.
it can add quick draw and it can add black. I remember everyone searching Black Salvo. I like distinctly remember that being a thing. And I
Dude,
remember
imagine
I
if
said
that
to
was
Koichi
dark.
earlier because, well, stop.
Then that would be good.
Like, just actually stop. I think it's already decent.
Yeah.
Pretty cool card. Yeah, if it searched out, if it was dark and searched out Black Salvo, that would be nuts because then you could just bring it back immediately, and that's just like insane. But
I think the main one would be like quick draw synchron or black salvo, like you said.
yeah, it's just those two. We're looking at all the things that you could search with it right now, and it's just not giving anything crazy. But yeah, this card is fine. It's not anything crazy. I think
Yeah.
that so I forget if it had to stay on the field to activate and resolve the effect.
I don't remember how that works. It was only really
Because it
played
says
in
once
one
per turn
deck, so
during the yes, it says during the end phase though, and it has the colon after that. So it kind of makes me think that it activates on the end phase, which means that if it gets bottomless, I don't think you get anything. And if that's the case, this card is actually not the fantasy that I thought it was.
I just remember being
So
played in Curry back in the day.
Karakuri. Oh, there you go. Karakuri was definitely a deck that played it for
Yeah.
sure, but that was 2011.
Yeah. I'm just
Okay.
I can't imagine that being played if it got like wrecked by bottomless or something. But anyways,
Yeah, especially in Edison format context.
yeah.
Okay, Morphtronic Vacuum Man. Vacuum Man. While in attack mode, once per turn, you can send one equip card equipped to this card to the graveyard to inflict 500 damage. So they made sure not to cannon soldier this guy. He can only do that once per turn. Interesting. While in defense position, once per turn, you can equip one face-up attack position monster your opponent controls to this card. What the hell?
Yeah.
You can only equip one monster at a time by this card effect. So in defense mode, he can just suck up your opponent's face-up attack bolt monster,
He's relinquished.
and
in
he is
defense.
relinquished. And you can one for one him in defense mode. So that's actually really cool that you
Well,
can go
then
one for one.
You got Selfon and that can just special summon him from the deck.
Oh, I see what's happening. So really, you're going to go for Selfon and then like the machine dupe, and then you bring out vacuum into defense mode, and then you start sucking and sucking and sucking. And next thing you know, you're like the Glock Walk 3000 master with this fucking thing.
You can vacuum in.
You can vacuum men. It's so funny that that's the name, and he sucks things up.
I mean, you can even machine dupe this guy and suck up multiple monsters, which is kind of crazy.
Okay. All right, I'm done. Okay.
Okay. On to
Spore. Oh, look at him! He's so cute.
So I was a kid back in the day when this format.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. I actually aged. But I used to draw on spores. I actually have a binder full like of draw.
Did you make one as a Pennywise or a clown?
I think so, actually. I have
there's a
my best one was a Yoshi, where I made
I like
the
it.
eyes, the Yoshi nostrils or something. But
yeah, I remember this card was the most drawn on card in 2010.
Yeah.
Everyone who did free art on Yu-Gi-Oh cards used Spore as a basis, and I have one that's a Pennywise. Literally looks like the fucking It Clown. I don't know how they did it, but they turned this thing scary as hell looking. This was also Zubat. I've seen this thing turned into everything. Like I've literally seen Spore get morphed into anything. But anyways,
it was like the cosplay Yu-Gi-Oh card at the time.
It was. This is definitely a relevant card if it was an Edison format. So this is one of the cards that I think starts to break things a bit, because it's a combo card, and it's one of the cards that Plants is missing to be over the top. This is an over the top card, straight up. It's a 1-star tuner. It's a plant, so it's searchable in many ways. It's a special summon from the deck with 1-for-1, and it makes 1-for-1 dandy a lot better. But it says if this card's in a graveyard, you can banish one other plant monster from your graveyard. Special summon this card, and if you do, increase its level by the level of the banished monster. So if you banish Dandelion for it or Lone Fire Blossom, this becomes a 4-star tuner. And as you know, Edison does not really have 4-star tuners without restrictions. So this is already just like the fact that it can be any level tuner is wild. It's like a Plague Spreader zombie, but you don't actually go minus to do anything. Like it's a Plague Spreader zombie, but you don't go minus. You just finish it from the graveyard to do this.
Yeah, it would make
and it's just really good. Way better, yeah. It would be relevant for sure. It would be played in things that are not even necessarily just plant driven. Like obviously you would play plants in a deck because you need a plant to use this effect. but I can see other combo decks just playing this thing
Yeah, you
and
can
it
just play
being
like
relevant.
Mystic Tomatoes or like Lone
Yes,
Fire
that's in
Blossoms.
it, and then it's a 5-star tuner.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mystic Tomato and Lone Fire Blossom, stuff like that. You don't even have to play Titanium if you don't want.
Yeah, just Lone
So
Fire, get Spore, and then you have a level 1 and a level 4 tuner in one card, pretty much.
yep, Spore is definitely relevant for sure. All right, Fairy Archer. I low key kind of remember this thing. During your main phase, you can inflict 400 damage to your opponent for each face-up light monster you control. This card cannot attack the turn. The same turn you activate this effect. Only one Fairy Archer can have its effect activated per turn.
Wasn't there like some FTK with this card at some point?
I feel like there was. I don't know why, but I have a feeling that there was something wrong with this card.
Something with
Like something.
inflicting damage. Just, you know.
Yeah, I just feel like something was wrong with this card. I don't remember what it was. If you remember, put it in the comment section. But
I thought like
yeah,
it was like
anyway.
2011, 2012 format. There was something wrong with this card, but
Yeah, I
that's the
don't
only
remember
reason I
exactly what it
included
was, but definitely seems interesting. Okay, Trigon. So this was played in Dragon Rulers in 2013. I remember it for that, but let's read it. So once per turn during your main phase, you can equip this card to a machine you control as an equip card, or unequip it to special summon this card in face of attack. While equipped to a monster by this effect, if the equipped monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, select and special summon one level 4 or lower light machine monster from your graveyard. And then it just goes into the union nonsense. So
I think his effect sucks, but I think he was
it
supposed to
does.
use with like those light, like those core, or I don't know, the spaceship deck.
Yes, there's one in the background. BES Crystal Core
Yeah,
and all
I
that.
think that's what it's used for. But
That's what it was designed for. But it's
I
also
think it's mostly used for like its attribute or its type, and then like its attack stats. I think that's pretty much
yes.
it.
And let's not forget the other thing is that it's a debris dragon target.
Yeah, that's like the attack stats
So
500. So
you make Ancient Fairy Dragon with this, and then you could
or
pop field
Black
spells
Rose.
and stuff. Or Black Rose, but back then it was Dragon Ravine, pitch this, send the guy,
Oh
summon
yeah, yeah.
debris,
Well,
make
that
Ancient
that deck,
Fairy.
yeah.
Yes,
But
yes.
for the
So that
sake of the
was
Edison format, I think like
yeah.
the regular Dragon Disaster, or what's it called? The straight Dragon deck, where it's just like you can Mass Dragon to this guy, and you can actually play Debris Dragon in your deck, and get this guy out and
Yeah.
make Black Rose or something. Because that deck can't get over a Spirit Reaper or a Block, so somewhat relevant for
Yeah.
that deck. I actually considered it
Okay.
for Dragon Turbo briefly when I first started making the deck.
Uh yeah, Dragon Turbo, I mean it needs all help it can get.
Wow.
Okay, anyway, I'm kidding. In the hands of certain players, Dragon Turbo's fine. All right, anyway. Okay, let's talk about the most broken card to come out, and it's the least suspecting card.
It's definitely
Also,
that villain at the end of the show where he's just like,
yeah,
I'm the bad guy, when he was just like some
yes, the one
goofball the whole show.
you just did not see it coming at all. This is what Ronin Tonin is. It's like it's the most unsuspecting thing.
He's Toby, pretty much.
Yes. So this card just broke the game, like literally, not even joking. It actually broke the game. It led to one of the most consistent FTKs of all time. And I don't really have nice things to say about it. Ronin Tonin was outrageous. Just to reiterate what it does. So it's a 2-star Aqua Monster. So you can send it with Swap Frog, right? So that's already like a thing. Cannot be used as a synchro material. Who gives a shit? This card's name becomes Death Frog while on the field.
Ooh.
If this card is in your graveyard, you can banish one frog monster from your graveyard, special summon it. Now it's not once per turn, so automatically you're probably like, oh no. You can go Substitute, tribute a guy, bring out Swap Frog effect, and summon, send Ronin Totem to grave, tribute Swap Frog for Substitute, bring out another frog, banish the Swap Frog that you just tributed, summon Ronin Totem back, tribute Ronin Totem, summon Swap Frog, send another guy to grave, tribute this, and then you see where this is going. So you end up off of just one Substitute and any one other monster on the field, you go 5 monsters instantly. You can literally just make 5 monsters across the field because of Ronin Totem. And that's like the lightest thing you can do. Then you get Mash Driver involved, and if you have 20 frogs, which that's what the deck played, you can do a combo where you tribute 20 frogs and deal 400 damage each. 100 times 20 is 8,000. Your opponent doesn't get to play, literally, they don't get a turn. and it was very consistent. One of the most toxic decks of all time. And this guy, not only would the deck be broken because of Mash Driver and FTKing, if you removed Mash Driver though, it doesn't make it honestly like any less broken. Ronin Tonin is still outrageous.
Yeah.
Even without Mash Driver, like I said, you could make 5 monsters from just at any point. If you have Substitute and another guy, just summon 5 guys in that turn, like right there.
Yeah, like you can even make it so like he can't be tributed at all. To say like he can't be synchroed or tributed with. You would still do too much because you just wall up with a million rodent totem. You can make a wall of 5 monsters. So I think it would have to have like a it's kind of like Spore, like a once per duel effect to make it okay.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. You can
I like how
you can do a super dupe block, just like triple dupe frog. It's just like the most crazy dupe block, flip flop frog.
Oh,
so literally in one turn you can do
this
that.
This guy counts as Death Frog on the field, so like he's like you can't attack, like he's just like a dupe. You could just have like dupe and Toad, and they still can't. Like it's kind of like Substitute, pretty much.
Yes, but I remember after game 1, some of the Frog FTK players would go into a strategy that actually tried to duel you. Not try to, it would duel you, and it would beat you because of the card advantage that they got from Substitute. Like they would make 5 guys, and it would be like dupe block, flip flop frog, and unifrog. So it's like 5 guys on the field. You can't attack literally at all. They're popping your back row. They're bouncing your monsters, and there's really not much you can do about it. Like it was really obnoxious, and that was without Mash Driver involved at all. So honestly, one of the most busted cards ever created. It recently came back to Modern Yu-Gi-Oh, I think, or something like that. But it was played modern. It was played as recently as 2022. What's that deck called? Runic.
Yes.
Runic deck.
No, it's played in
Runic
Sprite.
Yes. So it was played very recently.
Yeah, the card just never okay.
Yeah.
They actually got banned recently, so
it did. It's worthy of it. Okay, Key Mouse. I low-key remember this card, but I don't remember it being like super relevant, but I remember everyone saying it had a lot of potential. So it's a 1-star Beast Tuner, already really good typing and everything right there. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 level 3 or lower beast monster from your deck to your hand. So what's that? That's Dark Soul.
Airbellum, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly just like a guy you can like a decent tuner you can get off like Rat or something like that.
Right.
I think that's about all it's got going for it, but
yeah, in Edison, this is not game changing at all. It's the exact opposite of Ronin Tonin. It's like it's just whatever. It's not going to break the format. It's not going to create new decks and stuff. It's just like it's a Key Mouse. Yeah. Okay, next one. This card was played actually in Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Silent Graveyard. Discard 1 card. Effects that activate in the graveyard this turn negate it. So yeah, this card was played very recently in Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! So that tells you a lot. But in Edison, this would hurt zombies. It's kind of like a 1-turn Abyss Dweller. So if your opponent went synchro with Goblin Zombie, activate effect, you can chain this card and then negate Goblin Zombie that turn, and then Mizuki's negated that turn, and Plague Spreader would be negated that turn, and everything else that activates in the graveyard is negated that turn. So that's really good.
So I can maybe see this being used in like again kind of like a bad floodgate deal where imagine you're a Light Swarm player playing as fairies, and then you go to attack over like a recruiter. Then you could just use this potentially just to like make the recruiter do nothing.
Yeah. I can see that. That's not terrible. It's not that good in Edison though, is the thing. This is before the game becomes hardcore graveyard effects where people are doing Burning Abyss stuff and they're playing from the graveyard literally for the entire turn, and they don't need anything else but their graveyard. And it's like, okay, well, this card actually is just really good then. In Edison format, it's just like, it's just you gotta discard a card, it's a neg. It's not gonna be the best. Leeching the Light. I think this is also a little bit before its time, but I remember in 2011, this card was really good against the Agent deck. Fairies is a deck, at least in Edison, so it could be sided against that. But there's a big difference because Fairies, they do some in Christia, but the reason why it was good against Agents is because of Master Hyperion. And that guy doesn't prevent you from special summoning, so you can special summon like a bunch of monsters, like Tour Guide, get Tour Guide or Sangan, and then you could do like, 1-for-1 Dandy or Monster Born and all that stuff.
Scapegoat.
Scapegoat was the best one. You can summon 5 guys, and then you can activate Legion of Light on a Hyperion and kill your opponent in 1 turn. That's like the peak of this card. And in Edison format, because Christia is the light monster that light decks are playing, the main one. I don't really know. I don't really know if this card will be played that much. I see one other thing though. Frogs. In the Hero Beat matchup, I could see Frog. Yeah, you see where I'm going with this? I could see Frogs genuinely going like, they dupe block you. Then the next time they bring back Treeborn Frog. So they have like dupe Frogs on the field. They have Treeborn on the field. And then they like summon another guy, like a swap Frog, and they go Legion of Light your Alias. And then everybody's just huge. So that would be cool. So
like quick draw decks where they just, again, a bunch of tokens.
Yeah.
Like massive tokens.
Yeah. So select one face-up light monster your opponent controls. All face-up attack position monsters you control gain attack equal to the attack of the selected monster to the end phase. So it just bumps your guys. It buffs them a lot, depending on the attack of the monster. So buffing them by 2,700 each for Hyperion was wild. In Edison format, it's mostly going to be Alias or like best case, I guess Christia or JD or something like that. But the problem is you likely don't have a lot of monsters on the field if Christia or JD is the card you're leeching the light. That's why it's not as good as it was against Agents. All right. We're almost at the end here.
Yep.
What the hell? You read this one. What is this?
Okay. This is Blossom Bombardment. When a plant type monster you control is destroyed by opponent's battle and sent to the grave, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's attack. That's in the grave. So this is kind of similar to like the Revival Rose. This is actually probably better, just because it works with the what was that card? The burn plant deck.
Amaryllis?
Yeah, Amaryllis. Where it was like you would take 800 from destroying it, and then you would take 2,200 more. So it's kind of like a just desserts.
Yeah. So, okay, I can see something there.
Yeah.
I mean,
probably like
at the end of the day,
but
yeah, it seems ass overall. I think Volcanic Counter just does this job better than this card. Not really a fan, but you know what? For a full burn strategy, I kind of like it.
Yeah. I guess the one thing with counter is that you can play around it easy, but
you think that, but you actually, counter. I think people sleep on that card. Counter, you really can't though. Like sometimes games get to a point where you can no longer win.
I'm just saying, like, if you put
anything in attack,
Treeborn Frog in there.
I know everyone says that, even including myself. I've said it in the past, but when you actually play real Yu-Gi-Oh, games don't just play out like where they don't play out where you can just be like, I'm gonna just summon DD Crow and attack with that first. Like that's ideal and that's great. That does not actually happen in practice.
Yeah.
So like I get it, but when you play against that deck and it's played correctly and it's aggressive and shit, you get down to really low life points and then all of a sudden you can't put anything in attack mode for the rest of the game. It's like, what the hell? But that's a different topic. Yeah, this card is just okay. I don't think this would actually see play, honestly. Maybe in a fully dedicated burn deck, like I'm talking about all the way in.
Yep.
Maybe, but like even then,
be like full on plant burn.
Those decks already have bricks. Like Volcanic Counter, for all intents and purposes, is a brick. You want to mill it. You don't want to draw it. Having this in your deck as well as multiple Titanials and multiple Amaryllis, bricks on bricks on bricks. So, okay, this card saw play.
Yeah,
Crevice into a different dimension. Yes, this card blatantly saw play. This card is fine. It says declare an attribute and select the total of 2 monsters with that attribute from the graveyards. Remove those monsters from play. So you can most people just call it dark and just banish 2 Infinity monsters or whatever. It also would be good against like Alias, I guess. You call light, banish 2 Alias.
Hello, Treeborn Frog.
I was about to say, call water, banish 2 Treeborn. So this card is nice. It actually does what DD Crow fails to do a lot of times, especially against frogs. Oh, that's so good against Lightsworn, actually. Yes. This would be played. This would see play.
Like I can see this potentially replacing DD Crow on the side.
Same.
Same. Straight up, because it's like you're getting 2 for 1.
Yeah, this is definitely like
Vayu, like ooh.
Oh, hit the Vayu and the Sirocco.
Yeah, get them both.
Yeah, I like that. So that way you can't just go Armageddonite next turn, which is a problem with DD Crow. It's like, oh, I just summon Armageddonite and just put it back.
Yep.
And then you're like -1 now. Okay. So
this guy.
yeah, Gen X Undyne and Gen X Controller. So Gen X Undyne is a level 3. They're both level 3, but Gen X Controller is a tuner. It's dark. That's relevant for a reason I'll talk about in a second. But Gen X Undyne's effect. When this card is normal summon, you can send one water monster from your deck to the graveyard. Add one Gen X controller from your deck to your hand. This card with 100, 1000, 1,000,000% C play.
Yeah.
It is more copies of Treeborn Frog. It also, for some strange reason, goes +1. So you summon it, it searches, and it sends. So you send Treeborn Frog and also add a Gen X controller. And you might be thinking like, well, Gen X controller is a brick. And you're basically right, except Allure Darkness is a really good card that some Frog decks already play. So there's that. Dark Arm Dragon, another good card that some Frog decks already play. But then Frogs like to play Discard Traps. They like to play Regeki Break and Wing Blast. And this just makes getting Treeborn access more consistent, which is like insane because the deck already has an 80% chance to open up Treeborn Frog by like with current Edison, 80% chance you open up with Treeborn Frog, which means you play against a Frog person. There's only a 1 out of 5 games that they will open with no Treeborn Frog. Just remember that. So when they open up Swap Frog or Substitute or Treeborn or 1-for-1, you can't be over there huffing and puffing because it's 80%. This would make it even higher. I don't know what the exact percentage would be because you would probably play 3 of this and 2 controllers.
Like upwards of 90.
It would definitely be in the 90s. And it would be insane. But this makes Discard Traps a lot better. It's a tuner that you're searching, so it makes things like Mind Control and Econ a bit better. Yeah. Like this would change the
out the window. We're playing
yes. Oh man, that actually that's a thing though. This would do a lot. This is a really good card, and I'm just talking about in Frogs right now, but it wouldn't even just be Frogs that would play it, I think.
Well, so we have a Fishboard. This will be a 1-card Armory Arm with Fishboard Blaster. Just be like, okay,
yes,
Undyne ditch Fishboard, and then we discard the controller we just added, and then we can synchro into like a low 4 with Undyne for Armory Arm.
Yep. And that's just like the most basic thing, right? Yeah. Like that's just like very bare bones. If you have
anything else, then it could just be crazy. You can do the econ thing potentially, where you snatch the guy and synchro.
Yeah. So I see this being pretty problematic. I would say. I think this would definitely be a really good card. All right. Let's go to the extra deck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's read these really quick.
I just put like I think this is all the synchros from the set, but I just figured we can just blow through them real quick.
Yeah, it's not a problem. All right, I'll add Justice Light Gazer. It is an 8-star, looks like, if I'm counting correctly.
Yeah.
Machine, it requires 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. So you could put multiple things into it, or you could just put 1. This card gains 200 attack for each light monster in your opponent's graveyard. So it is a anti-fairy deck / Lightsworn deck card. This thing can get outrageously big, actually. I'm looking at it. If your opponent has like, I don't know, 10 guys in grave, it gains 2,000 attack. That's a lot. It would be a 4,400 attack monster. You can just kill them. I could see this seeing play, honestly, in Edison, because Edison doesn't have overpowered synchros, and niche things like this have a place, especially in decks that don't even synchro that often, but when they do, it's like, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it would be a nice way to, I guess, because there's no like good way to beat over a JD.
Yeah, like it's like Colossal Fighter needs to be 3,100, which it could be in that matchup because they play Jane and Aaron.
Yeah.
But and Giraffe, or no, Giraffe is Beast Warrior. Never mind. So yeah, Jane and Aaron. Oh yeah, he is a warrior. That's right. Arcus is a Beast Warrior. Yeah, so Jane, Giraffe, Aaron. It's possible that your Colossal could be 3,100, but that's asking for specific things. Yeah, whereas this guy would always be bigger than JD just by the merit that JD needs 4 guys. And that would already be more attack than JD. So this would always be JD. So that's cool. I like it. I think this would just see play. Yeah, that's it. Okay.
I think
Blackwing Dragon. He's ass, but he's anti-burn.
Yeah, he's really good against burn.
Yes. 1 tuner plus 1 plus non-tuner monsters. So yeah, I don't like the way this is worded. If you would take damage from a card effect, place 1 black feather counter on this card instead. This card loses 700 for each black feather counter on it. Once per turn, you can remove all black feather counters from this card. Then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. That target loses 700 for each black feather counter removed. And if it does, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack lost by this effect. This is like a lot going on.
Pretty much, he just stops burn damage. So
it's just an anti-burn card.
Yeah.
I don't really think that burn is that relevant in Edison format. So likely this card would not be an extra deck unless like you have a lot of space.
I think again, like if I guess if the plant burn deck was more relevant, actually
Yeah,
it could be good
there's
against.
just
I guess if it were to come up like the burn frog deck, but pretty niche situation. You probably don't have room for it. So.
yeah, I'm not a fan. Okay, next one, Chaos Goddess. I pulled this secret rare, and
This
it
critical is
looks
cool.
it is one of the best looking secret rares. Still to this day, I think this is one of the best looking secret rares ever. It just looks really nice, like really, really nice. But I remember it being asked, so I'm going to read it. It says, so it's an 8-star synchro, and it says 1 light tuner. So already you kind of lost me there. 1 light tuner plus 2 plus non-tuner dark monsters. So it just requires the fucking most. Okay, it requires way too much. Once per turn, you can send 1 light monster from your hand to the grave. Then it wants more. Then target one level 5 or higher dark monster in your grave. Special summon that monster, but it cannot be used as synchro material. Like what are we doing? This is so restrictive.
It could bring back Chaos Sorcerer. No, the one.
Yeah,
Chaos
it's
Sorcerer.
ass. It would not see play, I don't think. It requires way too much going on.
Yeah.
You have to use 3 monsters to make it. Then you gotta pitch a thing from your hand. Like what were they?
If it was 1 dark monster, then I could see it.
Yeah, but what were they
2,
thinking? This is so hard to summon, and then when you do summon it, you have to pitch a guy to use this effect, and then the guy can't even be used as a synchro material. It's like, bro, how many restrictions, how much complications can you put on one card?
It has to be a level 5 or lower dark monster too.
Yes, level 5 or
Okay.
higher dark
Yeah,
monster.
crazy.
It's really bad. Yeah, level 5 or
Okay,
higher
okay,
dark monster.
okay.
It's really bad. It's just straight up bad.
Okay, that guy sucks. But this one's a little bit better, I think.
Chaos King Archfiend, 7 stars. Fiend. So you need to use a Fiend tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters. This card declares an attack. When this card declares an attack, you can switch the current attack and defense of all face-up monsters your opponent controls until the end of the battle phase. So he's 2,600, which is a lot, and he switches everybody's stats, which that just means that he will beat anything, and your monsters will likely beat everything on your opponent's field, because everything in Edison has 1,000 defense or lower. Literally everything.
So
Everything relevant has such shitty
to,
defense.
Clean out to was it like Dad or again Judgment?
Yeah,
Dragon?
Dad is one of them. Yep. Oh, JD has 2,600 defense.
Oh, okay. He's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, JD's randomly, but like Stardust Dragon,
Yeah.
Absolute Zero. There's a couple things that this can
being used in a ROG strategy. Rognok.
Oh yeah. What are the Fiend tuners though?
Okay, so I looked them up. We have Dark Resonator, which I guess maybe you can use. Sinister Sprocket. Don't know what this card does. Dark Tinker, Trap Eater. Emissary of Pandemonium. Supply.
Okay, so this is bad.
Security. I don't even think this is out. So this is E7. So yeah, that's what you got.
Yeah, we're doing bad.
With Rock.
Wait, you think Flame Resonator's not out, but then the next card is Avenger.
Yeah, I think this was out. I think this was the set Flame Resonator because I looked.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
yeah, there's. So you don't make it. Anyways, let's move on. Infernity Doom Dragon is actually outrageous. Yeah. This card is just straight up. Okay, first of all, it's 3,000 attack. That's just already, massive. And it has a very real effect. So it requires a Dark Tuner, aka Plague Spreader Zombie, aka Gale. And then it says once per turn, if you have no cards in your hand, you can select 1 monster your opponent controls, destroy that monster, and inflict damage to your opponent equal to half its attack. This card cannot attack the turn you activate this effect. So this is just broken as fuck. It's Dark and Dragon, but it's like Dark and Dragon got fucked up or something, and it became this thing. It basically was out hooking after a long night of hooking.
He grew a weird fungus on his head.
After a long night of hooking, Dark and Dragon didn't like the session, so then he got gutted, but he didn't die. He came back as Infernity Doom Dragon and rose from the ashes, and that's what this card is. So this card's insane. Yeah, this card's actually insane, especially because Plague Spreader makes you stack a card. So you go down and you stack a monster because that you can't get out your hand to summon Plague Spreader, and then you set your spells and traps, and then you summon this guy and you go pop your guy for game.
Funny enough, I have like an ultimate first of this card from like way back in the day when I played Infernities. And this card's weirdly expensive for I don't know, but
yeah. It's not a bad card. All
Yeah.
right. Last card on the
Splendid
list.
Rose.
Splendid Rose, 6 stars. I remember this card as well. Thought this card was going to be played, but I don't think it was that good. Let's see. 1 tuner, 1 or more non-tuner monsters. Once per turn, you can banish 1 plant monster from your grave, then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, half that target's attack until the end of the turn. Then during the battle phase, if this card attacked, you can banish a plant monster from your grave, half this card's attack until the end of its turn. And if you do, this card can make a second attack, which fucking never comes up. Like, it's 2200 attack. What are we doing? This thing becomes 1100. It can attack twice. Like, it's a no. It's a chop. It's a chop for me.
Tokens.
It's a chop.
Okay, I think it has like. Okay, well, Brionic's in the format, but
there you said it. That you can just stop right there. Brionic and Goyo exist. They just exist. Why am I summoning this?
I remember Joe Giolando, he made like I think he said this was used in Infernity back in the day, but that's Infernity when you could just spam a bunch of synchros. Probably doesn't have a lot of application in Edison format, but you know.
Yeah, like I could see plants maybe playing this or something, some kind of, but then plants aren't really a deck in Edison because we're talking about Edison. So like, if you ever can make 6 stars, there's so many 6 star. Well, not so many, but there are 2 6-star monsters that basically trump everything in the format. Not even just 6 stars; they just trump every synchro. So this thing, I could see the whole, I half your guy and attack it. That's relevant. But what am I halving that Goyo or Brionic wouldn't be able to deal with? I guess a JD was the 1500. Absolute zero gets really low at that point. And then you do a little damage over top. So I guess that like it has a small, like tiny.
It's like one of those like weird game cards maybe, but again, Brionic.
Yeah.
I guess if you have something you can't discard, but it's very narrow.
Yes. All right. Well, this wraps up our discussion on the next set after Edison format. If you brought one of those cards into the format from the next set, how would it impact it? I think this was actually really fun to do. This was a very long video, so I hope you guys definitely enjoyed this because this is almost 2 hours.
Yeah, appreciate.
But yeah, this was fun.
Yeah,
no problem.
It was a fun topic, and I appreciate talking about it with you.
Yeah, so now you have to come on the podcast because this is 2 hours of my life that I'm never going to get back. So you have to give me 2 hours of your life.
Okay, sounds fair.
Yeah, sounds very fair. So yeah, we'll schedule that at some point. But yeah, look out for the IMNerd Podcast. Check out my YouTube channel. I just crossed. Me and Kenny just crossed 1,200 subscribers. So we're doing big things. I'm very pleased with how fast the channel is growing and all the support we're getting. You guys seem to genuinely like the videos, and you like when I rage, which is hilarious because I'm genuinely upset when I'm raging, and you guys are like, "This is amazing," and I'm like, "Okay, sure."
Yeah, I listened or watched one video recently where you just like bleeped everything out in the intro.
Oh, it was the gadget one, right?
Yeah. I was like,
I lost my shit. Yeah,
popping off.
Yeah, Stango was making fun of me, and I just wasn't having it. I was not having it. So.
Oh, no.
But yeah, this was really fun. So yeah, definitely, if for whatever reason, if you made it this far in and you're not subscribed to Hydro Pump's channel, you're crazy, and you should definitely subscribe. Please subscribe. Please also give this video a like because more content like this could be coming down the road if we realize that you guys actually enjoy it. But yeah, Hydro, is there anything else you want to say? I'm over here like acting like this is my channel.
No, I think we're good on that. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we will catch you guys in the next one.